Hello, and welcome to the Homesick to Happy Movers podcast. This is the place where you'll find tips, tricks, and conversations about moving and life after the move and everything that relates to life in transition. So, I am Keisha, and I teach people how to heal homesickness by leading them through the process of creating community and excitement in the new area, even if they are super shy. Today, we're talking about balance with Michelle Soltman. And when we move, life can easily get out of balance. And sometimes it takes a while to get it back into balance. So I'm really excited for this conversation with Michelle. Michelle firmly believes that a well-balanced life provides an opportunity for everyone to fully thrive. Michelle helps people become less stressed, more balanced, and leads them into uncovering their greater purpose in life. She's seen her fair share of unbalance, but she's also seen many amazing transformations. Michelle believes that where you are does not define who you are. Welcome, Michelle, to the podcast.
Thank you, Keisha. I'm so excited. And I really want to just thank you for allowing me to chat with you today. I think what you're doing is fantastic. This is definitely something that is of value to many people.
Yes, yeah, it's going to be good. So, what started you on your journey to creating a balanced life?
Mm-hmm. So I was at a beach retreat for some personal development, and the people running the beach retreat put on a TED Talk for us. And it was a gal that talked about your desired new reality. And it was a lot about the science between how our brains work and seeing things in black and white and then seeing things in color. And so we wrote where we were at in black and white. And I simply did like a stick figure. No joke. I have it here in front of me. I would hold it up, but it doesn't really transfer great in a Zoom. But I drew a stick figure, and like a lot of people out there, especially post-pandemic, I felt like I was being pulled in many different directions. Friends, jobs, trying to improve my relationship with God, my family, my coworkers, being pulled in all different kinds of directions. And I think we can all know what that feels like, to be burdened with being pulled in many directions. And so that was my person in black and white. And then my desired new reality was in color. And at the top was a green circle that said balanced. And then underneath that, I had God, family, friends, health, travel, wellness, charity. And then I had one job because I had many jobs at the time. And again, that was part of my stress and feeling unbalanced. So I had put those all in order, and just felt like, gosh, wouldn't that be a wonderful desire new reality? And then you were supposed to put the steps of how to get there. Fast forward about a year later, I was at another event, and the ULA guys were there. So Dr. Troy and Dr. Dave started a whole program to achieve balance in your life in the late 90s. And they really developed a program for themselves and their coworkers. And then they decided we need to bring this to everybody. And that's kind of like where you had mentioned the phrase that's coined, where you are right now doesn't define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got started in really finding my life balance.
Oh, awesome. So is it correct that before you started working on your balance, did you feel like really out of balance?
I did. And also a little bit lost, I would say, is a good word to use too, because as I was going through this and transitioning, my children were becoming adults, and I had, they were in their last years of high school. They're both in college and trade school now. And not only out of balance, because I had myself out of balance for some of it was a purpose, right? Like to be a mother and that sort of thing, which is fine. That's a season of life. But as I was coming out of that and my children were becoming adults, I also felt a little bit lost, because it's like, okay, here my children are now, adults. They're going to be doing things on their own. What is my purpose, and like what am I doing, so that life isn't so much like a groundhog's day for me and my husband, and like what are we doing next, and how do we achieve balance again in the 7 key areas of life?
Yes, yeah. I definitely relate to that. So do you think people can be out of balance and not even realize it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's something we don't talk about. We get up in the morning and we start our habits, right? Whatever it is our morning routine is, whether it's getting the kids out the door, or maybe we don't have kids, maybe it's just getting ready for work. And we find ourselves in this trap. And what really made me realize it was last summer. We were out on the boat with friends of ours, like our best friends that we do everything with. And we were sitting there and I said, we're in our next stages, guys. And like, what are we going to do so we're just not waking up every day and going through the motions, right?
Mm.
This is something you begin to ponder as your kids become adults, or you maybe just become middle aged, right? And so, like, really just talking about it, everyone was like, I never really thought about that. I don't think people take pause in their daily lives to really think about, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this purposeful? Is this what I want? I don't want to keep waking up every day and going through the motions. So I think a lot of times people don't realize that the imbalance is there, or even what the key areas of life are,
Mm.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah. So what are some steps for people to start getting back in balance?
So first off, I just like to acknowledge what those 7 key areas of life are. So that's fitness, finance, and our family, field, which is our career, and that can be simply a stay-home parent as well. That's a career too. And then faith, friends, and fun. So first we have to acknowledge, like, what are those 7 key areas that we need to have balance in for our lives. And then acknowledging where you're at now and just being okay with that, because we're all in different places. Some people are very efficient at keeping all the plates spinning and the balls in the air, and some people maybe can only have one of those areas of balance. So really just like, let's see where we're at in those 7 key areas. So first you have to acknowledge it. And the way I like to phrase that is, sometimes you have to look under the carpet, and it can be a little uncomfortable, but that uncomfortableness will drive us to try to think about how we can get to into balance of, in those key areas. So
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned, we mentioned at the beginning, and I mentioned again, where you are right now isn't who you are. And there's some very simple ways of achieving that balance that are not going to be overwhelming.
Right. And when you said like look underneath the carpet and see, actually what's going on, um, I feel like that's so important because and to be able to stand and really look at life even if it's uncomfortable.
Mhm. Dr. Troy, one of the ULA guys, will say, you need a little healthy level of disgust, right? Just a little bit, like to say, okay, I don't know how this happened. I got in debt, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. I'm going to focus on what steps I can take to get out of debt. Or maybe I let my health and fitness go, and maybe I'm not doing things to help my mental fitness. But that's okay. We all get like that. But now, what can we do with that little healthy level of disgust that will propel us forward to start finding balance in those key areas?
Yes, awesome. So you also help people find their greater purpose in life. Could you speak to that?
So, first of all, let me just say, like, this is so rewarding to be a life coach, because you do get to walk alongside. And once my clients look at their 7 key areas and know what maybe their goals are in each of those 7 things, you can start taking small daily action steps that help you fulfill what your purpose is. And you do that, like I said, by looking at those 7 F's, figuring out on the wheel where you might be out of balance. So think of each of those F's as a spoke in the wheel. And if you have any of those 7 out of balance, your wheel isn't going to roll properly, right? So
Right.
first it's discovering where you're at on that wheel, and then following through with a plan. So, that's what I really like to do. It's really amazing to see people acknowledge what that is, and then use that to help them make the wheel roll in the right way. So, and it's all about achieving those things. And then that's going to help you get to your greater purpose, your one big goal.
Awesome. So like a life goal? It's like
It
your
could be a
big
life goal, life dream. Yep. Just what you're going to do to get that spoke in balance on your wheel. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what has this transition and getting evening out your wheel look like in your life?
So, it's really just what can you do on a daily basis. I've seen this done before in a church setting with marbles and sand and water. But the ULA guys do everything the ULA guys do is fun. So they do it with Skittles and oranges. So think of each of the 7 F's is an orange, right? And you have a jar you're going to fill every day. And if you put all your little things that you have to do, pick up the kids, take the dry cleaning, all those little Skittles that get in the way of us achieving our dreams and our goals. If you take all those things and put them in the jar first, and then you try to put your oranges on top, it's not all going to fit, right? So if you put your oranges in first, your 7 F's, if you have a goal of walking 20 minutes a day, if you do that first before you do any of the little mundane to-do list items, you are going to start moving towards your greater purpose. And that's what it really looks like in your life. And then we'll also talk about maybe there's some blockers that are stopping you from doing that. But the really amazing thing about the blocker is each one is matched with an accelerator. So think of an accelerator as like the wind in your sails. It's going to push you right past that blocker. So when we go through the program of what is your purpose and how to transform you, those are some key elements to help you along the way.
Okay. Yeah. I love how you spoke about the oranges and the Skittles and like how our daily life or our daily to-do list can sometimes take the place of our big dreams.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it's key to get those main things in first.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned blockers and accelerators. Could you talk a little bit more about what a blocker looks like?
Sure. So a most common blocker that I think most people face is fear, right? Our brain can do some amazing things, but it can also stop us because it's trying to protect us. So an accelerator to fear could be passion. Like you have so much passion for what you want to do and how you want to help people. Let's take, for instance, yourself with the Homesick to Happy Movers. You might have a blocker of fear, which you don't because you're here today talking to me, but talking publicly in front of people, right? But your passion to help people will see you through that and push you through that. So that could be an example. Another one that I call out a lot because it's most common to people is lack of focus, right? You're like all over the place and you don't really have a vision or a clear path. Well, discipline is an accelerator to help you push past your lack of focus. Okay. Those are a couple of examples that are common to people.
Yeah, those are so interesting so you can just pull on the other force to help you move through that blocker.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Do you have any more examples of blockers?
Yeah, absolutely. So it could be anger or guilt or envy, self-sabotage, any of those things. But then the accelerator that could push you through those is gratitude, love. Like I said, passion is a big one. Wisdom and humility. Wisdom is a great one, even for an ULA coach like myself or anyone who's doing life coaching or mentoring or coaching of any kind. We can learn from our clients as well, right? So always being open-minded to, we don't know everything. And I will tell you, of all the people I've coached so far this year in the transformation program, I can probably give you 1 to 3 things that I've learned from them myself that I can put into my life to help me pass those blockers. So always just being, open to listening, and, we don't know everything. We could always still be in the learning phase.
Right. Yes. So what are some small steps that the listeners could start taking today that would help them achieve balance and uncover their greater purpose?
So I think a lot of times we might be able to blurt out what a goal or a dream is. If I was to ask you right now, what is your fitness goal? And you might say, I would like to lose 20 pounds by June 30th, let's say. Well, how are you going to get there? Like, goals and dreams cannot be accomplished if we don't have a clear path of what they are. And I like everyone to put their goal or dream into the SMART format. So that's very specific. Like I know exactly what you do with your company name, your podcast name, Homesick to Happy Movers. So be very specific. That is a perfect example of that. You want your goal to be measurable, attainable, and realistic. Like if you're saying I want to lose this much weight in this many weeks, we know that the most average that you would lose a week, unless you were doing something very drastic and dangerous, could be like about 1 pound or so, right? So if your goal is to lose 5 pounds a week, let's be realistic about that. That probably isn't going to help you. And then just like link to time is the T in the SMART goal. So link to time. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. So the SMART format is very important when you're setting your goals. And also just, I'm trying to think now, that distracted me a little bit. Just uncovering what 3 action steps a day can be. So I just went over this with a client and she was feeling very overwhelmed. I just spoke with her on Monday and she's like, I'm not getting to my action steps because it's feeling overwhelming to me. And I said, okay, tell me your first one. She said, I want to walk an hour and 15 minutes a day. I said, okay, how about if we just take a step back and we work on walking 20 minutes a day? That way you can feel good if you accomplish it. And what will end up happening is you're walking for 20 minutes and you're out there and you're like, I already have my tennis shoes on. I'm already on the walk. I'm going to actually do the hour and 15-minute walk. So don't be so hard on yourself with making things so big and drastic. 3 very small steps can get you to your dreams and your goals, as long as they're written in the SMART format and as long as you're taking bite size. I read something recently. It's just like, what if we could just change 1%? I think it was in the Atomic Habits book by James Clear. Just 1%, 1% better is amazing. So I think just human nature to set really high goals, that happens. But if we just take a step back and use the SMART format, that will help us keep up, put us in the right position to actually achieve those goals and dreams.
Yes. And it sounds like when you're creating those smaller steps, it actually makes it even more achievable.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find a lot of people, when they have the big dream or like the big goal, like an hour and a half of walking, get overwhelmed and don't start?
Yeah, that's just it, right? It's like the 5-second rule. There's a lot of different people out there that talk about it. I know Mel Robbins talks about it. Even the ULA guys are ready, set, go. You just have to do a little bit and it will propel you into the longer, bigger things. It's really a great example. I love the walking as an example. Also just short snippets of what you can do. For me, like if I needed to walk after this podcast, I would have had my tennis shoes on ready to go. So I'm already in the mindset of making my goals for the day happen, my action steps for the day happen.
Right. So it's like you're taking small steps to make starting easier.
Absolutely. That's correct. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. So how has personal growth transformed your life? I feel like a lot of things that you have mentioned have included personal growth. What are the benefits that you've found?
So one thing for me is just really realizing that whole Groundhog's Day scenario. Like, what are we doing every day? Like we need to live with a purpose, and we can't do that if we're just going through the motions. And coaching people on a daily basis really helps to keep that in the forefront of my mind. It's also made me a better listener. Like I said, when I am looking to my accelerators of wisdom and humility, you have to be a good listener. And just because someone is going through an out of balance time in their life doesn't mean that you can't learn from them. So that's, for me, something that's helped transform how I go about my goals and dreams. Again, just always keeping at the forefront that there is a accelerator for that blocker. So, sometimes they're not super clear. Like I use the most common one. So fear, we get fear, right? We feel that in our belly, when we're scared to do something. Lack of focus, we can feel that, but some are sneaky. Envy is sneaky. Anger is even sneaky. So realizing those for myself, that is how my personal transformation, and I'm not going to say it's over, it's always continuing, but recognizing those blockers is just really important, and how this is transforming my life.
Yes, that's amazing. So how can the listeners connect with you?
So you can simply follow my name is Michelle, that's spelled with 2 L's, and my last name is Soltman, S like Sam, Oltman. That's how you will find me anywhere. I'm MichelleSaltman.com. I'm Michelle Soltman on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow me there. If you have something specific that kind of resonated with you when we were chatting today, just send me an email and let me know. And I might have some journals that I can send you to support you, or a program, an upcoming program that we're doing maybe virtually or in person, and I can plug you into one of those. We really like to do breakthrough boosts right now and breakthrough breakfasts, which just give you like a 7-day snippet of what this could look like. And we know that a habit forms after 2 weeks. So if you're halfway there in the 7 days, you are well on your way to forming a habit to get those daily action steps done. So I really like to give everyone, as quick minutes of value that they can utilize in trying to get to their ULA life.
Oh, yes, that sounds amazing. So what last pieces of encouragement do you have for the listeners today?
So one of the most favorite things that I love that the ULA guys always end everything they do in, and I just feel like it's just like peace on your heart, is that we were all created by God for greatness and a purpose. And the ULA framework is a system. We are no longer going to live our life by default, but we're going to have a plan, and we're going to do that by very simply taking small daily action steps to get through it. And I think that that's just so important to know that they're just small things we can do on a daily basis that are going to fill our purpose.
Yes, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Michelle, for coming on and chatting with me on the podcast. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate our chat today.